Hi, welcome to the fourth video in mSoftware's InCatalog Quick Start tutorial video series. The prior videos got us set up and able to create and update InCatalog linked documents. In this video, we'll learn about updating data or pushing content out from InCatalog linked documents. Let's get started. I'm going to open my Cat Tutorial 1 document and pull in some data so that we have something to play with. I'll open the document. And I'll show my InCatalog linker panel. And I want to make sure my correct data descriptor is loaded, foodad1dd.txt. And I'll simply say InCatalog, update my document, and I'm going to bring in my veggie add data right here. There's all my content in. And let me go ahead and open that veggie add just so that we can see that data. There it is. So we have our broccoli, our carrots, and all the good stuff. So we're ready to go here. Just like when we learned about updating documents, you can use InCatalog menu commands or linker panel buttons for updating data. The menu commands operate in the entire InDesign document, whereas the buttons in the linker panel give you more granular control. So let's start with the menu commands that work on the entire documents. The main commands for pushing content from the InDesign page to data are create data and update data. Notice that there is a create data file command, and people often confuse this with create data. What create data file does is it actually creates an empty data file that's ready for data to be pushed into, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Create data, on the other hand, does everything all at once. Update data updates existing records in a data file, whereas create data creates new records in a data file. And both behave a bit differently depending on whether a data file is opened or not. So let's look at each case. The simplest case is when there's no open data file and you simply want to update existing data. In this case, we want to use update data. It opens the data file that you point to, updates the records in it, and closes it, saving the data. Let's do that. I'm going to make a change on the document page. Here's my broccoli. It says broccoli. And I'm going to say yum. And organic orange carrots. Well, let's say organic. Let's make those red carrots. So I've made a couple changes in there. I'll go to my InCatalog menu and say update the data. And it'll say get the data snapshot, or in other words, which file do you want me to update? I'm going to say update my veggieadd.txt. And this is the important thing. Be sure that you check on updatable from document. Otherwise, it won't update it. You'll get an error that says document is not open for updating, but this will open it up so that it can be written to. I'll just say open, click, and you'll notice up here right away in my data, it suddenly said broccoli yum. And where's my carrots? Organic red carrots now. So that's updating. To create a brand new data file with no data file open, use create data. It will create a data file, populate it, and then close it, saving the new data. Let's do that. So I'm just going to leave the document the way it is. Go to my InCatalog menu and say create data. And it'll say, okay, what do you want to name it? By default, it names it after what the data descriptor is. I don't want to name it that. I'm just going to call this my new data.tsv, and it's going to show up over here in my files that I have open. I'll just say save that, and here's my new data. Let's open this up. Here we have a nice file with just those records that were in the document. Note, though, that this actually creates an entire file and rewrites the file at the same time. So it won't work if you're needing to extract data from multiple InDesign documents to the same data file. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to take a few of these items and move them to a new document. I'll just grab these items down on the bottom. Cut. I'll say new document. Open it up. Paste. So there they are. So now I have items in two documents. So I'm going to do a create data again, and let's see what I get. Create data. I'm just going to name it the same thing so it replaces that file, mynewdata.tsv. Save. It exists. You want to replace it? Yes, replace it. So then when I open that my new data file, it's only got those 2 items in it. Well, okay, I want to add those other items to it, so I'll go over here and I'll say, well, let's create some data in there. Create data. And I want to put it in that same file again, so I'm going to choose that again and say, save it. But again, notice that it's going to overwrite that, replace. And now if I look at my new data file, notice that it just has these items that are on this page. It no longer has the items that are on this page. So if you need to pull from multiple InDesign documents, or if you want to update granularly using the buttons in the linker panel, you want to work with an opened data file. So let's do that. If you do not have an existing data file, use Create Data File. This will create a new empty data file and leave it empty and ready for writing to. I'm going to go ahead and do that. InCatalog, Create Data File, and I'm going to call this now my really new data. And I'll say save that. And it pops in here, and you will, if we open this up, you'll see that it's empty over there. I don't see any previews in it. But if I look in my InCatalog menu, I can see that that data file is actually open. Now we can use Create Data to populate it. Update Data will not work, as it only operates on existing matching records, and we don't have any in there yet. So if I even try updating data into that document, Update Data, it says, the key wasn't found in the data. There's no key. I can't find anything to match. So we can't use that. Instead, we want to use Create Data. Create Data. Then let's close this document, and we'll close the data file and have a look at it. Close the data file. And now if I look at my really new data, there we go. Broccoli, yum, organic red carrots. To add data or update an existing data file, open that data file and operate on it. So I'm going to go ahead and open that one again so that I can write new data to it. I'll say open the data file, and I'll choose my really new data file. And again, this is the important thing. Click on Updatable from Document, otherwise nothing's going to go in there. And we'll click Open. Now I'll go in here and I'll go to this new document here, and I'll say InCatalog, Create Data. And I'll even go to this one, and I'll say InCatalog, Create Data. Let's see what we got. Close the data file. Now I'll open it up in my text editor so that we can look at it. And there are all the items that we pushed into it from our multiple documents. Let's go ahead and close this. Working with the linker buttons for updating data is similar to updating documents. You can update on the link, the frame, the group, the key, or the spread. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and open up my original data file. So I'm going to say Open Data File, and let's open my veggies. And I'm going to open it updatable from document so that any changes will actually get pushed to the data. We'll click OK. Notice that the bottom of my linker palette has come alive. And I'll make a couple changes in here. I will say yummy, and let's make our carrots orange again. And one other thing I have to do is I have to tell it update the data, not the document. And I'll say update my frame. And then here we'll say update everything in this group. And let's close our data file and see what we get. Close data file. Let's open my veggie add data again. And here we have yummy, and here we have orange carrots again. So updating data within InCatalog is quick, flexible, and most of all, easy. Most of the time, you'll use the Update Data or Create Data menu commands, but for even more flexibility and control, use the linker panel buttons. Thanks for following along with us through these tutorials. If you have any questions or run into any difficulties, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at support@msoftware.com. We hope that you enjoy working with InCatalog. Thanks.